What's good, YouTube? Quinn Wade basketball analysis coming to y'all with a quick video. Today we're gonna talk about Kyle Lowry. Um, Days in Toronto might be at its end. At the end of the day, this Toronto team, like we all know, is down 0-3. They was the number one seed in the Eastern Conference. They gave Kyle Lowry that contract extension, and a lot of people said, "Hey, they not that old. He can make another run. He still has a lot left in the tank. He can be a star still." And honestly and truthfully, that was years ago, and he proved it because he's been an all-star the last 2 years. And he's been a perennial all-star, and his age is still there. At the end of the day, he is only age 32, and he just turned 32. He's still giving you good numbers from the three-point line, which is so important in the game of basketball today. But at the end of the day, I wanted to discuss that. This Raptors team, they make the trade for PJ, they make the trade for Serge. That still didn't get them over the hump. Um, Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan don't play good enough in the playoffs to win a championship as the two best players, as an all-star duo, as one of the best duos in the league. The furthest they ever made was the Eastern Conference Final, which is still impressive and still good, but they haven't been able to get over that hump and beating LeBron. They stacked up the team. They got a bench. They got a great starting lineup. They have two All-Stars, and even though DeMar DeRozan was a guy that averaged 27 a game and was an All NBA player, and still is not enough to even take a 2-2 or at least a 2-1 lead with both games being at home in the beginning. They lose both of their home games and lose to Cleveland, and plus they lost to Cleveland the last two times they played at the end of the regular season, and the Cleveland Cavaliers was beat up, toe up, and they couldn't do much. But one thing I say is, with this Toronto Raptors team, they only can go really in one direction. And what I'm saying is they're going to be forced to rebuild because if they continue to struggle to beat Cleveland, DeMar DeRozan is older. You don't want to give Kyle Lowry another contract extension unless you can't find a better point guard to take that place at that time. But you definitely can't continue to bring this lineup and this team back over and over again. They tried to shake things up last year and it still failed. Um, it's either you're gonna have to let go of DeMar and Kyle Lowry. That'll force you into a rebuild, and they still wasn't able to do it. So at the end of the day, they in the tough crossroad of, do we make the necessary moves to go all in for a championship? And one thing you got to think about is, at the end of the day, a team like Cleveland is only getting older. LeBron is 33, about to be 34 by next year. I mean, by next playoffs, and you think that the window is open. You see Boston lose a couple players. You see Cleveland struggling in the regular season, and you think you have a legitimate shot. You change your offense, you change the way you play, you change your ball movement, you trust your teammates, you're a lot deeper. So DeMar and Kyle can get rest for the fourth quarter, but they still haven't been able to do enough to win games. They lost game one. They blew game one because that's a game they should have won. Came back in game three, had a chance to win. They don't trap or double team LeBron and force somebody else to beat him. That's another coaching slash mental mistake. And when people call it LeBronto and people say that LeBron owns Toronto, it's true, because a lot of these mistakes is obvious. A lot of these mistakes you shouldn't be doing in the playoffs, and trying to definitely win a series, get a chance to go to the Eastern Conference Finals, and if you get that far, you have a chance to win a championship. It shows you how far they really are of being a championship contender team. We even seen it with Philly. We thought they arrived quickly. We thought they was the next big team, and then they blow two games. Game two, they was up by double digits in the second half. I mean, in the second quarter, and then somehow they find a way to lose that game, then blow game three, which they had a chance to win. So it's all about execution. Um, that was supposed to be a big change this year, and it hasn't really morphed into the playoffs as a big change. Then you got to think about it. Your superstars and your all-stars got to play well. They beat Bradley Beal and John Wall, but they couldn't close two games. They actually should be up 2-1 to me in this series, but instead they down 0-3 and have a chance to go home against Cleveland, in Cleveland, against one of the best players ever in LeBron. I know he makes that big of a difference, but the first game, nobody really played well. Even LeBron, you had some role players step up, but they didn't have monster games to beat this team. And those are games you have to win if you're trying to compete for a championship. Those are games you have to close out. Those are games that Demar and Kyle Lowry has to take over and make the roles for the role players easier by giving them and getting them easy baskets throughout that whole run. Like you have to close out that game. You have to get a 10-point lead and keep it. And especially if you're at home, you work all season to get the number one seed to have the easiest ride to the Eastern Conference because you go against the weaker seeds until you get to the Eastern Conference final, depending if the second seed gets there. And instead, you go into the playoff limping a little bit. Then you get out of the first round and struggling to even get out of the second round. And you might even get swept. That's pretty much embarrassing for any team, not even the Raptors, especially when you had a chance to win those two games and have a chance to close out the game in Toronto, the series in Toronto, if you win one game in Cleveland. So obviously, execution, obviously, playing hard and wanting it and trying to do whatever it takes to will your team to a W is important. And they just don't have that guy to do it. And honestly, I don't know if they ever will get him. They tried it with Damari Carroll and his knees went out. That 3 and D, that wing guy that can guard the LeBrons, the KDs, the Kawhis, and allow DeMar DeRozan to rest defensively so he can still give you a lot offensively. That didn't work, but it was a good move, but it just didn't work out the way people thought it would. And obviously, adding Serge Ibaka, a guy that's athletic, long, lanky, a modern day four, a guy that can shoot the three, shoot the mid range, and drive and finish at the rim, basically dive to the rim and get a layup or a dunk. And he's a good free throw shooter, so he actually what you really want out of a big man. And he's gone cold. He lost his identity. Jonas Valanciunas is a guy that can get the rebounds, finish around the rim, knock down some elbow jumpers, and some. He got a soft touch and some good shooting too for a big man. So you have the pieces that you need, and you have, the coach that he's supposed to be still there. You see a lot of coaches like Stan Van Gundy just went down. Even a championship coach like Mike Budenholzer lose his job, and those are championship caliber coaches. And you think like if we can't beat Cleveland now, we're only getting older. We only getting closer to elimination. We only getting closer to not a, we're not getting closer to winning the championship. Talent wise, we're getting there. Other than that, we have to find a way to mix it up again. Do you continue to try to mix it up and find what's missing? Do you continue to make trades and find players in the draft at them long ranges? Those are all the things they've been doing. Now it's time to see, do we have to break up Kyle Lowry and DeMar? These two guys have shown that they can win games in the regular season, but they haven't been able to do it in the postseason. It's starting to become their identity as floppers, their identity as not doing enough to win a game 7, not doing enough to win against LeBron. And I know everybody in the Eastern Conference has lost to LeBron, but they keep trying to put this roster together to beat them, and they haven't really even came close. The closest they ever got was when they only won to the series of 6. And that's not really that close either because they haven't been doing that for the last 2 years either. So it's stressful. It's annoying. I know the Raptors fans really, going through it right now, especially after they thought this was a different team and it's a team to be proud of. And then to see them, fall into this 0-3 hole. And now you start to question the coaching. Now you're starting to question your personnel. And now it's up to Uzziah if they do lose this series to the Cavaliers. Do you really question the duo? Do you want to keep them together? Do you think that it can win a championship? Do you think that as they get older, they get wiser, but can they play well enough together to stay and warrant a championship? And the problem is not even Cleveland to me. If they can't beat Cleveland, how is they going to beat the Rockets? If they can't beat Cleveland, how is they going to beat Golden State? Even though it's all about matchups at the end of the day, if you're struggling to beat Cleveland and other teams, you're not even going against the best teams in the league in the series. So it shows you how far they still have to go to even get to a finals, and how far they even got to go to, if they do get to the finals, to win the whole thing. I definitely think they got to blow up this Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan. They failed so much offensively in every playoff series basically. Even against Indiana last year, they struggled in that series. So these two guys are not going to get the job done, and they have to find a way. I'd rather get rid of Kyle Lowry because he's older and his contract ain't as much as Demar. And at the end of the day, the point guard is a deep position. Maybe you can get somebody that can do the job better, be more dominant, or find a new way to have a new identity with a new player. So let me know what you guys think about the Toronto Raptors. What you think they should do with Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan? Should they move on from Kyle Lowry? Should they re-sign him next year? Do you think they eventually get over the hump as LeBron get older, or you think that soon as LeBron is done, you got the Bucks, you got Philly, you have Boston, and they are already better and miles ahead of Toronto already to me, especially if healthy. So, and you got the Sixers. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think Toronto is in that mode where they're good enough to make the playoffs? They're good enough to win in the regular season, but they need that missing piece, or to try something new with the coach, or try something new with in going in a different direction. And while they have the talent, they have the personnel to do it, to make trades and to make moves, and to try something completely different, that maybe they can get into that future conversation with the Phillies, the Bostons, and the Bucks. So check out my website, analysisplayground.com. Link will be in the description in the comment section below. Also, check out my Facebook page, analysisplayground.com. Link will be in the description comment section below. I'm Quinn Wade, Basketball Analysis. I'm going, and let me know what you guys think about the Toronto Raptors in the comment section below.